So, good morning, students. Today I will be discussing about the topic of diatron. So, in order to understand the nucleon interaction, or in general, the properties of nuclear force, diatron problem throws some light. So, already we have discussed the properties of nuclear force in our earlier classes. Just to recall and refresh, I just enumerate the properties of nuclear force. And as you know, the nucleus consists of the constituent particles, neutrons and protons. And the neutrons being neutral and protons are positively charged. So, in spite of the positive charge of the protons, all the nucleons are confined into a small region at the center of an atom, and hence the force which binds all the nucleons are stronger than the Coulomb force between the protons, and the nuclear force is attractive and short range. The nuclear force is attractive and short range force, and the nuclear force is stronger than the Coulomb force at short distances. Nuclear force is stronger than the Coulomb force at short distances, and it can overcome the Coulomb repulsion between protons inside the nucleus. And at long distances of the order of atomic sizes, the nuclear force is negligibly feeble. So we know that the size of the nucleus is 10 to the minus 15 meter. As the distance increases, the nuclear force will become feeble and it approaches to zero. And in addition to these general properties like attractiveness, short range force, and it depends on the relative spin of the nucleons. The nuclear force depends on the relative spin of the nucleons, whether the spin is parallel or anti-parallel. And nuclear force is charge independent force. As you know that we have two kinds of nucleons inside the nucleus, neutron and proton. So whether it is between neutron or proton, or between neutron or between proton or proton, the nuclear force is same. Hence, the nuclear force is charge independent. And though the nuclear force is attractive, it has a repulsive term which keeps the nucleons at an average distance of about 0.5 Fermi. So no two nucleon touch each other. And in addition, the nuclear force is not a central force. As you know that the central force is the force acting between two bodies, which depends only on the relative separation. So the nuclear force is not a central force and it has a non-central component. Nuclear force has a non-central component, and the nuclear force has saturation property. That means it interacts with only the nearest nucleons. It doesn't interact with nucleons farther away, and it has a saturation property. So, in order to understand the nuclear force or the strong binding between nucleons inside a nucleus, or in order to understand the mutual interaction between neutrons and protons, so we need to have some system would reveal some of these properties which we have enumerated. Okay, so if you are interested in nucleon interaction, then there are three possibilities as we have mentioned earlier. One is a bound system consisting of a single neutron and a single proton. So in nature, we have the diatron nucleus as a bound system containing a neutron and a proton. So the study of this diatron problem would reveal some of the properties which we have enumerated as far as the nuclear force is concerned. So apart from this two nucleon bound system, there are two other possibilities through which one could understand, infer certain information about the nuclear force. So which is the interaction of neutron and proton, and the interaction of proton and proton. And of course, this is a bound system, NP system, but the same NP interaction can be studied through scattering reaction. And Another way to understand the nucleon-nucleon interaction is through pp interaction, and obviously proton being a positively charged particle, so we need to have some high energy reaction to get some inference about the nucleon-nucleon interaction as far as pp interaction is concerned. So we have NP as a bound system, and NP interaction can also be studied in low energy scattering reaction, and in high energy reaction we can study pp interaction, so which would reveal some information about the nuclear force. So apart from these three possibilities, so we have another possibility, that is neutron-neutron interaction. And of course, it is not directly possible to study any interaction through any reaction, because of the reason that it is difficult to prepare a target which contains only neutrons. So by indirect means, a neutron-neutron interaction can be studied and some information obtained regarding the properties of nuclear force. So in order to understand the properties of nuclear force, there are three possibilities: by the study of bound NP system, or through scattering experiments involving NP interaction. So in NP interaction, we have the possibility of having a proton medium as a target, like some heterogeneous material can be prepared, and some neutrons can be allowed to bombard on it to infer certain information as an outcome. So likewise, we can have a PP interaction, but due to its Coulomb repulsiveness, we need to have some high energy reaction as far as PP interactions are concerned. Obviously, apart from this two nucleon interaction, where we consider only two nucleons, so it would be possible to study these forces if we consider nuclei containing many nucleons, but it would be very complex. It would be very complex. Hence, we restrict our discussion only to simple bound NP system and some NP low energy interaction. And let us see how the outcome of this study throws some light about the properties of nuclear force. So before we discuss about the Diatron equation of motion, let me first throw some light about the properties of Diatron. So the primary characteristics of the internucleon force can be inferred from the study of ground state properties of the simplest bound system, Diatrons, as I have mentioned. So deuterium, that is 2H, is one of the isotopes of hydrogen atom, and the diatron, denoted by the letter capital D, is the nucleus of the deuterium atom, and it consists of one proton and one neutron. And diatron is the simplest system to study the nuclear force and its properties. And diatron has no excited states, and the experimental observation regarding the size of the diatron reveals that it has a radius of the order of about 2.1 Fermi. And the measured binding energy of the diatron is 2.224 MeV, and this value can be measured precisely using different ways. And the measured spin of the diatron is 1. The measured spin of the diatron, that is capital I, is equal to the sum of spin angular momentum plus orbital angular momentum, that is spin of the neutron plus spin of proton plus orbital angular momentum value L. And the measured parity, or the experimentally known parity of the diatron, is E1, and it has finite magnetic moment and electric quadrupole moment. So these are all some of the properties of the diatron. So as I have mentioned, the binding energy of the diatron is 2.224 MeV. We can obtain the inference or information about the binding energy through some of these reactions. For example, the binding energy is equal to the minimum energy required for a gamma ray to break the diatron into a proton and a neutron. Suppose we have a gamma ray which bombards on a diatron, and then if it breaks into 1H plus neutron, then the energy required for the gamma ray to make this reaction possible is of about 2.24 MeV, which is nothing but the binding energy which binds 1H plus 1 neutron to make a 2H diatron nucleus. In other way, binding energy is equal to the energy released when we bring a neutron and proton together to form 2H. So this is photo disintegration reaction, and this is a radiative capture reaction, where 1H plus neutron fuse to form 2H plus gamma, with the gamma possessing an energy of 2.224 MeV. The energy released in this reaction is carried off by this gamma photon with the energy 2.224 MeV. And as you know from the binding fraction curve, we know that most of the nuclei has a binding fraction around 7 to 8.5 MeV. And if you calculate the binding fraction for ditron, this comes out to be 1.112 MeV. So the total binding energy is 2.224. So it has two nucleons, hence binding energy per nucleon is 1.112 MeV. So if we compare this binding fraction with respect to the normal typical nuclei around this region, so this is very small, and hence ditron is a weakly bound system. And then the other measured properties, as I have stated earlier, the ditron has a measured spin of +1. Let me write down. So binding energy of the ditron is 2.224 MeV. The measured spin of ditron is 1. So the spin of a nucleon J is given by the sum of the orbital angular momentum and the spin angular momentum, and the spin of the nucleus is given by the sum of all J values. Sum of all J values. And since ditron being a two nucleon system consisting of a proton and a neutron, so each will possess half integral spin. So we can have four different possibilities for spin. That is, it can be both up, or one up, one down, or one down, one up, or both down. Okay. Suppose if I denote this as +1, 0, 0, this has -1. So both plus of, plus of, plus of, minus of, minus of, plus of, minus of, minus of. So this makes four different possibilities. That means, so we have two different states. One is S is equal to one state, a triplet state, and S is equal to 0, a singlet state, for example. So S is equal to one state, we can have three different possibilities: 0H cross, we can have +1H cross, or we can have -1H cross. And for S is equal to 0, we have one possibility, 0H cross. So the measured spin, the experimentally measured spin of the ditron is 1. Possible L values which makes the total spin 1. Let us see what are the possibilities. Suppose if we have L is equal to 0. Suppose if we have L is equal to 0. Okay. So L is equal to 0. Then S is equal to 0. Okay. L is equal to 0. S is equal to 0. The spin, total spin is not 1. L is equal to 0. S is equal to 0. The total spin is not 1. And likewise, suppose L is equal to 1. 1 and S is equal to 0. The spin may be 1, but in this case, the parity is odd. Parity is odd, but the measured parity for ditron is even parity. For ditron, the measured spin is 1 and the measured parity is even parity. So parity is nothing but upon inversion of the position coordinate, if the wave function doesn't change its sign, we call it as even parity. Otherwise, it will be odd parity. Suppose if we have a wave function, and if we have some value of position x or minus x, and if psi of minus x is equal to psi of x, the parity is said to be even. If otherwise, if psi of minus x is equal to negative of psi of x, parity is said to be odd, and it is related to this orbital angular momentum by this empirical relation minus 1 power L. EL. Okay. Suppose if L is 0, if L is 0 minus 1 power 0, so it will be even parity. If L is 1, then it will have odd parity. So for the possible S is equal to 0 case, L is equal to 0 is ruled out because it doesn't give the total spin as 1. And for S is equal to 0, L is equal to 1 gives odd parity, and hence this is also ruled out. So S is equal to 0 state does not exist for the diatron. Now, so we have discussed three of these properties. One is the binding energy, and the other one is spin of the diatron. The third one is the parity of the diatron. Okay, the measured binding energy is 2.224 MeV. The measured spin is 1, and the measured parity is even, and the combination of S is equal to 0 state is ruled out, corresponding to two different L values of 0 and 1. So I just depict this scenario this way. So as I have stated, so the total spin of the diatron is given by the sum of the neutron and proton spin plus the angular momentum due to the orbital motion denoted by L. So Sn and Sp can have the value of half, and L can take the value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So in order to have measured spin value equal to 1, so I have stated there are four different ways to couple these spin vectors. So it could be both up, the spin angular momentum plus half the orbital angular momentum 0. So that makes the total spin 1. Sn and Sp are parallel, and L is equal to 0. Or it could be other way around. Sn and Sp are anti-parallel, and L value could be plus 1. So half minus half plus 1 make the total spin as 1. So Sn and Sp are anti-parallel, and L is equal to 1 is another possibility. Or Sn and Sp are parallel and spin up, and L value could be 1, which makes the total angular momentum through this vector diagram as equal to 1. Or Sn and Sp both are parallel and up, and L value is 2, that also give a total spin of 1. So there are four different possibilities which would result in the total spin of 1, corresponding to three different L values. L is equal to 0, L is equal to 1, and L is equal to 2. L is equal to 0. The sum of the spins Sn and Sp, if both are up spin, L is equal to 0, with Sn and Sp equal to 1 would make the total spin as 1. And in this case, the parity is also even. L is 0, that means minus 1 power L. Hence, this possibility is possible. If Sn and Sp are anti-parallel and L is equal to 1, or Sn and Sp are parallel and L is equal to 1, in both the cases, though the total angular momentum could be 1, but the parity becomes odd. Hence, this is not possible. And the other possibility is Sn and Sp are parallel and L value is 2, so which also makes a possibility. So we can have L is equal to 0 state and L is equal to 2 state with even parity and a total spin of 1 for the existence of diatron. So let us see how the nucleons are occupied in both these states. L is equal to 0 and L is equal to 2. And so we have so far discussed some of the measured properties. As I have stated, the diatron possesses a magnetic moment and electric quadrupole moment. This magnetic moment and quadrupole moment arises from a small admixture of d state with L is equal to 0 state in the diagram wave function that we will discuss a little later. So before discussing that point, let me first discuss the diagram wave function and its solution, and whether the diagram has any bound excited states or not. So that aspect first we will discuss, and then we move on to the discussion of magnetic and electric water pole moment, and if possible about the NP scattering. So for understanding the diatron problem, we make certain assumptions. Okay, we make certain oversimplified, I could say oversimplified assumption, oversimplified assumption we make. Okay, so in order to analyze the diatron studies, the interaction between neutron and proton. Okay, the interaction between neutron and proton are considered to be a function of R, the relative separation between N and P, the two nucleons, which makes the diatron system. So we consider the interaction between N and P as a function of R, or simply we can say we assume a central potential. We assume a central potential for the study of diatron problem. That means our potential depends only on R. V is equal to V of R, and it is independent of the angles theta and phi. As we have stated earlier when discussing the properties of the nuclear force, the potential is attractive and it has to be short ranged. Okay, so these two important properties the potential has to possess. For example, it has to be attractive and it has to be short ranged. So this should become or this should approach zero. This should approach zero as the value of R increases, and it has to be attractive. So the attractiveness is defined by this negative side, and the depth of the potential defines strength, and this is a short range. The potential becomes or it approaches zero as the R value gets. So any potential we assume for the study should obey this properties. So the simplest potential one can consider, which can be mathematically tractable, it can be mathematically or analytically solvable, is the square well potential. Okay, so one such potential is square well potential. So there are other forms of potential can be used, like oscillator potential, exponential potential, and then Yukawa potential, and then we can have a numerical Saxon-Woods potential. So these are some of the potentials. So I just give the analytical expression which describes this potential for a square well potential. So we can assume a square well potential of this form. So this is straight. Okay, so this is V naught, and let us say this is R. So V will be minus V naught for, let us say this boundary at which the potential becomes zero is at R is equal to R. V will be V naught for R less than or equal to R. Otherwise, it will be zero for R greater than R. So this is the form of square well potential, and exponential potential has this form. So V is equal to minus V naught exponential of minus R by B. So this R can be referred in some books as small b. So it has the same meaning, minus R by capital R or minus R by capital B. So this is where the potential becomes zero. So the exponential potential behaves something like this. So which is at R is equal to 0, this is exponential minus 0. So this will be something like this. It will be uh, behaving something like this. I'm not to the scale. So this is given by the strength V naught. So this is somewhere where R has the value of B. And the Yukawa type potential has this form, V is equal to minus V naught exponential of minus R by B divided by R by B. So this is another form. So this has a similar structure, similar to the exponential potential, but it will be infinite and it approaches zero, something like this. Okay, so this is V and this is R. And Saxon-Wood potential has a form something similar to admixture of oscillator and square wave potential. So it will have a structure something like this and it approaches to zero. So we have V and we have R here. So this is a finite potential and this is where R is equal to B or capital R, the boundary beyond which the potential becomes zero. Okay, so these are all different forms of potential, and for the diatron problem, we assume a simple square wave potential satisfying the condition as I mentioned. So I just redraw the square wave potential which we will be studying for the diatron problem. So we have a potential having a depth and so this is V naught. So this is 0 and this is let me use the symbol capital R, which is the boundary beyond which the potential will be 0. Okay, so the potential is minus V naught. So this is 0. So this is positive side. So this is negative side. So we have 0 here, and this is at R is equal to R, the boundary beyond which the potential is 0. Okay, so since this is a potential which we assumed depends only on the relative separation R, we can immediately write the equation of motion corresponding uh, potential as minus h cross square by 2m into d square by dr square plus v of r is equal to E psi of r. So we are bothered or we are concerned only for the variable r, and the wave function is independent of theta and phi since the potential assumed is a central potential. So here V of r is nothing but V naught. So if we rewrite this equation, so this will be minus h cross square by 2m into d square psi by dr square, so which is equal to E minus V naught into psi. Okay, so let us denote this region as region 1, where we have the potential value as V naught, and region 2 where the potential becomes 0. Okay, so hence we can indicate the associated wave function in region 1 by this subscript I. So we have region 1 D, wave function is denoted with the subscript capital I. Okay, obviously the magnitude of V naught will be greater than the value of E, and the value of E is nothing but the energy which binds the nucleons, so which is somewhere here. Okay, the energy which binds this nucleon or the eigenvalue associated with this wave function is given here, being a bound system, so weakly bound system, which lies somewhere here, and hence obviously the value of V naught will be greater than E. V naught will be greater than E, and hence I just rewrite this term again, keeping only the differential equation d square psi by dr square on this side. So we have minus 2m by h cross square E minus V naught into, let us say, psi. Okay. Now let us consider only this term. Okay. Let us consider only this term. Okay. So let us assume this factor 2m by h cross square E minus V naught. Hence V naught will be larger than E. So this term will be always a positive quantity. Okay. And hence we have d square psi by dr square as minus, let me write this as k square psi 1. Okay, where k square is given by this expression. K square is equal to 2m by h cross square E minus P naught, or simply k is equal to square root of 2m E minus P naught by h class. Okay, so we have a standard form of the differential equation d square psi by dr square is equal to omega square x type minus omega square x type, and hence immediately we can write down the solution for this equation as psi 1 is equal to, let us write a sine kr plus b cos kr. Okay, so this is the solution for this differential equation. The solution for this differential equation is psi 1 is equal to a sine kr plus, we can immediately check by taking the differentiation of this wave function with respect to r. So d psi 1 by dr will be k a cos kr minus, it will be k b sin kr. Just to differentiate the sine to cos kr, cos will give minus sin kr and k will come in front. So we have k a cos kr minus k b sin kr. If you differentiate it again, what do you get? D square psi by dr square. So we have k square cos kr is minus sin kr. So k square a sin kr minus k square b cos kr. So minus k square we can take it out. So this will be a sin kr plus b cos kr, and hence it will be minus k square psi. Okay, so d square psi by dr square given by minus k square psi in region 1. Okay, so this is as far as region 1 is concerned, and the wave function in region 1, I rewrite it again, is psi 1 is equal to a sine kr plus b cos kr. So we have the wave function given by this expression psi 1 is equal to a sine kr plus b cos kr. But when r approaches the value of 0, the wave function has to cease. Okay, it should be 0. As r approaches 0, the wave function should vanish, or it should be equal to 0. So if you consider this condition, then we have psi is equal to 0 when a sine k r, where r tends to 0 or approaches 0. So b cos kr. So sine 0 will be 0. So we have a into 0 plus cos 0 is 1. So we can have 1. So which demands b to be equal to 0. The one of the property of the wave function demands the value of b to be equal to 0, and hence psi 1 will be simply given by A sin KR. So it will be a simple sinusoidal function in the region 1. The wave function of this diatron in region 1, wave function of the diatron in region 1 is simply given by a sinusoidal expression A sin KR. Okay, let us consider region 2 when R is greater than R. So potential will be 0. Potential will be 0. Simply we have the equation minus h cross square by 2m d square. Let me denote this as psi 2, denoting region 2. Potential will be 0. So this is simply E psi. So if I rewrite, so we have d square psi 2 by dr square is equal to minus 2m by h cross square E into psi. And since E is negative, let me consider this bracketed part. Since E is negative, this bracketed term will always be positive. So let me write this as L square. So where L square is psi 2. Okay. So the solution for this general form of the differential equation d square psi 2 by dr square, which is equal to L square psi 2, can be expressed as C e power plus LR plus D e power, let's say, minus LR. Okay, so this is a general solution for this differential equation. That means we have a exponentially increasing function, a function which increases exponentially, or a function which is infinite and approaches 0 as R value increases. Okay. Again, applying the properties of the wave function to be finite, we can rule out the positive term should vanish. So we have psi 2 is equal to C e power LR plus D e power minus LR, and the wave function cannot be infinite at large value of R, and hence we can write only the allowed value, is psi 2 is equal to D e power minus LR. Okay, in region 1 we have a sinusoidal form of the wave function, and in region 2 we have exponentially decreasing function, and wave function has to be continuous, and in order to satisfy the continuity of the wave at R is equal to R, at R is equal to capital R, both these wave function must be equal. That is A sin KR, I write capital R, must be equal to D e power minus L capital R. So the wave function psi 1 and psi 2 must be equal, and for smooth continuity, the derivative condition should also be satisfied. That means dou psi 1 by dou R must be equal to dou psi 2 by dou R. Okay. So if you take the derivative of this function, so this will be Ka cos KR. So this is equal to L. So there is a minus sign, D e power minus L R. Okay. So we have two conditions given by these two equations 1 and 2. So if we just divide equation 2 divided by 1, I get K cot KR is equal to minus L. So you can check this by dividing equation 2 by 1. So we obtain an expression K cot KR is equal to minus L, where K already we know is given by this expression. K is equal to, K is already given as square root of 2m E minus V0 divided by H cross square. So this whole square root, and capital L is given by minus 2me by H cross square, and E is negative, so this will be a positive term. So we have 2m E by H cross square. Okay, so we have the expression satisfying the continuity of wave function in both the region 1 and 2 as k cot kr is equal to minus L. And the respective expression for k and L are given here in the square root terms. And as we have mentioned, the measured radius, experimentally measured radius of the diaphragm is of the order of about 2.1 Fermi, and the measured binding energy is 2.225, let us say 224 or 225 MeV. And if you assume, since we are discussing the relative separation R, in relative coordinate, the mass is used as the reduced mass of the system. So the M in this above expression so far we have discussed is simply nothing but the sum of MP n Mn in the denominator and the product of MP Mn in the numerator. Okay, and we have only a proton and a neutron, and we can approximate these two masses because they are almost comparable. And if we assume MP to be approximately equal to the mass of the neutron, so this will be simply, let us say this is let us say MP square divided by 2 times MP. M is equal to, so this will be MP by 2. MP by 2. So we can replace M by MP by 2. So we can use the value of mass of the proton in the above expressions. Okay, we have the value of R as 2.1 Fermi, and capital E, that is the binding energy, as minus 2.224 or 225 MeV, and the value of M, which is nothing but the reduced mass of the system, and we can approximate it by MP by 2, mass of the proton divided by 2. So that would give some information about the depth of the nucleus V naught. So we can find the value of V naught as follows. For a just bound system, okay, for a just bound system, let us assume E to be equal to 0. Okay, so diatron is a weakly bound system. If E is 0, okay, E is 0, obviously this term will be 0. L is equal to 0, and in this term we have the value of V naught, and then we have M, so we can substitute M as MP by 2. This 2 gets cancelled, so we have simply K given by, let us write MP into V naught. So this is for a just bound system. I am talking of H cross square. Okay, K is given by M. M is nothing but mass of the proton, V naught, and H cross square. Okay, let us denote this as K naught. Okay, so this is for a just bound system. That means in the square well potential, we are assuming this state instead of this E. So this corresponds to minus 2.22. E is equal to 0 results in L is equal to 0, and this K can be written as K0, so which denotes the just bound system, and M is replaced by MP by 2. So 2 gets cancelled, so we have MP and V naught M. Okay, just bound system. So we have H cross square. So this expression K cot KR is equal to minus L. Okay, so we have K cot KR is equal to minus L, and this is 0. So we have simply K cot K. So I write K naught cot K naught R is equal to 0, or we can write cot K naught R is equal to 0. Otherwise, so this will be 0, cot K naught R will be 0 if K naught R is equal to pi by 2. K naught R is equal to pi by 2. So we can substitute the value of R. Okay, that means K naught R is equal to pi by 2. So K naught is given by MP V naught, let us say M by H cross square under root into R is equal to pi by 2. So we want to estimate the value for V naught corresponding to measured radius is R is equal to 2.1 Fermi. So we can just square this term or square this expression. What we get? We get MP V naught M by H cross square into R square is equal to pi square by 4. And if we want to estimate the V naught, so we can bring in all the other terms on the other side, pi square into H cross square divided by 4 MP, then what else? We have R square. Okay. So we know the values of all these factors. Pi square is a constant, H cross square is a constant, 4 mass of the proton, and R we can use from the experimentally measured value. And for that value of R, V naught comes out to be around 25 MeV. V naught comes out to be around 25 MeV. Based on this argument, and if we estimate value of V naught for the total energy E corresponding to the diatron, which is minus 2.224 MeV, V naught would be roughly around 38 MeV if we consider R around 2 to 2.1 Fermi. So we can cross check by substituting this value corresponding to the energy. Ed is equal to minus 2.224 MeV. Okay. Now we discuss the wave function of the diatron. We will discuss the nature of the wave function associated with the diatron problem. The nature of wave function for diatron. Nature of wave function. So we just write V naught is equal to minus 36 MeV. R is equal to, let us say, 2.1 Fermi, and corresponding to these values, the value of K would comes out to be around 0.9 Fermi inverse. Okay, 0.9 Fermi inverse. So if I write sine KR, so this will be simply sine of 0.9 into 2.1, and if we estimate, this would come around 0.95. In other words, we can say 95% of the wave function, which is the sinusoidal function, contributes in region 1. So in other words, sine KR will be 100% if KR is equal to pi by 2. So sin KR will be maximum corresponding to the value of KR is equal to pi by 2. So this is at R is equal to R. So this is at R is equal to R. So we have 95%, and sin KR will be 100% if KR is equal to pi by 2. So we can simply estimate the distance, that means 0.9, that is the value of K into R is equal to pi by 2. R at R is equal to 1.74 Fermi, the wave function will be 100%. The wave function will be 100%. So I repeat this step. So at R is equal to capital R, that is at 2.1 Fermi distance. So K value is 0.9 Fermi inverse. So sin KR will be 0.95 or 95%. So in order for this wave function to be maximum, KR has to be equal to pi by 2. And for this value of pi by 2, the distance will be estimated by substituting the value of K into r is equal to pi by 2. So we can roughly find the value of r to be 1.74 Fermi. So this is our wave function plot. Let us say this is at a point r is equal to r. Okay, so the wave function r is equal to 0. Wave function starts. Okay, and then it approaches a maximum value here. Let us say somewhere at r is equal to 1.74 Fermi. Okay, and then this is maximum, and then it approaches r is equal to r. So there it will be around roughly 95%, and then beyond r the function is exponentially decreasing. Okay, so this r value is roughly 2.1 Fermi. So this is region 1 and this is region 2, and in region 1 we have the maximum probability for the diatron to exist at a distance of around 1.74 Fermi. Okay, so this is the nature of the wave function. We can say the internal function is sinusoidal, while the external function is decreasing exponential. They can smoothly join at the boundary r is equal to capital R only if psi 1 has a negative slope. Psi 1 has a negative slope at this point. Okay, at this point r is equal to capital R. So sine function has to decrease to have a negative slope, and this condition of negative slope can be obtained if k1 of r is greater than or equal to pi by 2 into 2n plus 1 or 2n plus 1 into pi by 2. So if this condition is satisfied, then the wave function will have a negative slope. For example, for n is equal to 0, when n is equal to 0, k1r, that is at r is equal to r, the boundary, it will be greater than pi by 2. K1r will be slightly greater than pi by 2. At pi by 2, the wave function will be maximum. At the boundary, r is equal to k by r is equal to capital R, k1r will be slightly greater than pi by 2 value. Okay, so this part is governed by this function a sine kr. This part is governed by this function e power minus lr. Okay, a sine kr and some d e power minus lr. So now let us suppose we have the value of n is equal to 1. So we have discussed corresponding to the case n is equal to 0, so which is the ground state of the diatron. The ground state of the diatron wave function is given by this form. The nature or behavior is explained. Suppose if we have n is equal to 1, in order for the sinusoidal function to possess a negative slope, the wave function has to be, as I have stated, at r is equal to r, the wave function must possess a negative slope. If n is equal to 1, if n is equal to 1, so this will be 3 pi by 2. We have the maximum value of the sinusoidal function at pi by 2, and then it will invert, and then it will obtain a maximum value at 3 pi by 2, and then it will have a negative slope. It will decrease, and it will have a exponentially decreasing function in the region 2. Okay, so this is for n is equal to 1. So we have the condition an k1r should be greater than or equal to 3 pi by 2. So at k1r, so this is that boundary, so it will be slightly larger than 3 pi by 2. The value of k1r will be slightly larger than 3 pi by 2. Suppose if we substitute this case, so earlier we have estimated the value of v naught by substituting k naught b is equal to pi by 2, and if we substitute the value of k naught r is equal to 3 pi by 2, and if you estimate v naught, okay, so k naught is given by square root of mp v naught by h cross square is equal to 3 pi by 2 into capital R. So if you estimate V naught, for this case, this V naught comes out to be around 225 MeV, corresponding to the value of R is equal to, let us say, 2.1 Fermi. That means we need to have the first excited state, n is equal to 1, corresponds to the first bound excited state. It is possible physically if we have a potential having a depth of 225 MeV. Then only we can have a bound first excited state. And the depth of a potential which is satisfy the measured binding energy is around 35 to 38 MeV, and hence this is not physically possible, and hence the diaphragm has no bound excited states. Okay,